So step number 1 is put your cursor on the data. So you put it over here. The second step is Control A. So if you are using a normal Windows laptop, Control A. But if you are using MacBook, you can try Command A. Okay, Command A also will work in MacBook. So when I press Control A, you will notice the entire data is highlighted. And then the third step is you go to data, you click on the data, you click on from table/range. So you click this, you will notice that a small box will appear. Can you see the small box? If you can see the small box, maybe you can type number 5 in the chat box. A small box will appear. So what you do is you press OK. So you press OK, you will notice that you will go to a Power Query Editor. Okay, once you press OK, you will notice that you will go to Power Query Editor. So this is a file called Power Query Editor. Basically, this is can say as an advanced Excel. Okay, so this is a Power Query Editor. So now what you notice is the same thing. We do have the countries, we do have the continents, we have the respective years. That means the population in each years. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select 2018. Okay, so once I select the 2018, you will notice that the entire column is being highlighted. Okay, and then I go to my right hand side, I press the shift button. Okay, in your keyboard there's a button called shift button. I press shift button and I select 2021. So meaning to say 2018, 2019, 2020 and 2021 is highlighted. Okay, and then what I do is I go to transform. My friends, can you see transform over here? If you can see transform, maybe you can just type number 6 in the chat box. Okay, there's a ribbon called transform. So what I do is I highlight everything, that means the year, and then I go to transform ribbon. Okay, once I go to transform ribbon, my friends, can you see unpivot column? If you can see unpivot column, maybe you can show some thumbs up, or maybe you can type number 7 in the chat box. Okay, so there's a feature called unpivot column. So what this unpivot column will do is now we have 4 different columns, right? So once I press unpivot, you will notice that all the years suddenly appear into 2 columns. That means instead of, okay, maybe I'll just show again. I'll just untick this. I'll just remove this. So now you notice that we have 2018, we have 2019, we have 2020 and 2021. Okay, so let me select this. Okay, so 2018 to 2021. I go to transform, I go to unpivot column. So now it has been unpivoted, meaning to say from column orientation, it become a row. From 4 different columns, it become 2 columns. Okay, so far, do you understand? If you understand, maybe you can type yes. The feature of unpivot, meaning to say unpivot means from 4 different columns, it becomes 2. Okay, the orientation change. And then what you can do is, if you want to change the name also can, maybe you can put here financial year, okay, or calendar year, and this one maybe I'll just put here populations. Okay, so in there's a country called Aruba, so they have a population about 10,105 people. So I put here population. Okay, and then I go to home and I go to close and load. Okay, so now it will go to a new tab. All right, so I'll just press this. Okay, so meaning now you notice that initially our data, we do have the country name, we do have the continents, and we have the respective years are located at each 4 different columns. That means 2018, 2019, 2020 and 2021 is located at 4 different or separate columns. But after we massage the data through Power Query, we notice that our country name and continent remains the same. However, the financial year is compressed into 1 column, and we do have a dedicated column for population. So basically, our data has been transformed and unpivot to this kind of situation. So from here, we can actually create a dashboard or an interesting visualization. So what we do is we go to insert, we go to pivot table, we press go to existing worksheet, and then I'll just go to put the position over here and press OK. So once I press OK, you will notice that a pivot table field will appear, and it has the headers of the data, that means country name, continent, financial year and population. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the continent at the filter, financial year at the filter, population and values because this is the population, and country name over here. Okay, the next thing is I don't want all the countries to appear. What I do is I click this, I go to value filters and I click top 10. A box will appear, so I don't want top 10, I only want top 5, and then I press OK. So now we do have the top 5 countries only, but of course if you notice the numbers are difficult to interpret. So I highlight all this, right click, format cell, a box will appear. So I go to accounting, remove the symbol because this is not a currency or a value of expenses. This is actually a population. So I remove the symbol, I remove the decimal, I press OK. So now we do have the details of the population. Okay. The next step is what I do is I just right click, I go to sort, I put largest to the smallest. So now we do have a data segregated properly. The next step is I click insert slicer, I choose for the continent and financial year. Why I choose continent and financial year? Because I have already put this continent and financial year in the filters. So I press OK. So I just put it over here and over here. So when I click Africa, you notice that Nigeria has the highest population. When just say I click 2019, so in 2019 Nigeria has the highest population. If I click Europe, you will notice that the Russian Federation has the highest population. When I click Oceania, you will notice that Australia has the highest population. So the next thing is I want to create an interesting visualization. So I put my cursor over here, I click pivot table analyze, I go to pivot chart and I choose bar and I press OK. So the next thing what I do is I right click at the button, I hide all field, and then what I do is I just click this, right click, format axis. You will notice that a format axis menu will appear. I click category in reverse order and then I just delete the x-axis, delete the title, chart title. I click the chart element, remove grid line, remove legend and put data labels. So now it looks better. And now what we can do is we can create a separate chart, separate sheet to show our dashboard. So I press shift F11, I close this, I press Ctrl G so that a box will appear, and then I press here T1. So we'll go to T1, I go to merge and center, and then here what I do is I put here equal total population in, and then apostrophe enter. So we have total population in, I make it middle and I increase the size to 40. So now we have total population in, and then I go to table 1, I click this, click this, click this, Ctrl X and I paste it over here. Okay, so now the financial year I want it to be at the left, continent I'll put it over here, and this one I'll just remove, I press X and I'll make it over here. Alright, so when I click this, so we have the total population in the world in 2019. So what I'm going to do is I go to table 1, I'm going to copy this and paste it over here. If equal if all is equals to all, then I put the world, otherwise it will be all and close bracket. Okay, so meaning to say this one I'll just do, I put here and table 1, I'll put it over here, F4, and I'll put it in, maybe I'll just put a bracket in apostrophe and 2019 and apostrophe close bracket apostrophe. Okay, so just say I click 2018, so the total population in the world in 2018. Okay, so we have a space over here, so what I'm going to do is I'll just put it here. Okay, so if just say I click Africa, so the total population in Africa So based on this, we can see that Nigeria, Ethiopia, Egypt, Congo, and Tanzania occupy the top 5 spots. So what I can do is I click the chart element, I choose the chart title, and I can just put this as top 5. Top 5 population. And there you go. So this is how it looks like. So when I click Asia, so you have the total population in Asia, and the top 5 is China, India, Indonesia, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. And so what I do is I go to view, I remove the grid line so that it's clean, and this thing over here I go to home, I change to blue color, and I put as white color, and Control B, so now it looks better. Alright, so basically this is a presentation where you can actually share to your manager and to your stakeholders.